Who would have thought that I would be applauding a speech from George W. Bush for its bravery, for its correct description of America and its ideals? Wow, the world is topsy-turvy. So this is fascinating for a number of reasons. He never mentioned the word Donald Trump, but his speech on Thursday clearly directed against Donald Trump and in very strong words. This is a former Republican president. Listen in.
We've seen our discourse degraded by casual cruelty. At times it can seem like the forces pulling us apart are stronger than the forces binding us together. Argument turns too easily into animosity. Disagreement escalates into dehumanization. Too often we judge other groups by their worst examples, while judging ourselves by our best intentions, forgetting the image of God we should see in each other. We've seen nationalism distorted into nativism, forgotten the dynamism that immigration has always brought to America. We see a fading confidence in the value of free markets and international trade, forgetting that conflict, instability, and poverty follow in the wake of protectionism. We've seen the return of isolationist sentiments, forgetting that American security is directly threatened by the chaos and despair of distant places, where threats such as terrorism, infectious disease, criminal gangs, and drug trafficking tend to emerge. In all these ways, we need to recall and recover our own identity. Americans have great advantage. To renew our country, we only need to remember our values.
Wow, and it's about to get much tougher as well, but lots of tough words already in there. When he starts talking about bullying and how it leads to casual cruelty, gee, I wonder who he's referring to. When he talks about isolationist sentiments, that is clearly Donald Trump. Then he said nationalism distorted into nativism. Now this is the same language that John McCain used just a couple of days ago when talking about the movement from the 1930s that turned nativist and turned inward and against immigrants. And George Bush there talking about the dynamism immigration has always brought to America. So this is clearly broadsides against Donald Trump, but he probably won't respond on Twitter. So we'll see how that goes. No Trump response yet, but Bush has got more where that came from. And I never thought I'd miss this guy. Not in a million years did I think I'd miss him. And yes, he still looks goofy, but the words are important. And I'm super glad that he came out to give this speech. He gave the speech at the same place that Obama also gave a speech in September, also warning about the same themes, also not mentioning Donald Trump. My favorite part of the clip you just saw was when he talked about forgetting the image of God we should see in each other, saying don't be cruel to one another and don't go in a direction of bigotry. But more clear words from Bush here.
We need a renewed emphasis on civic learning in schools, and our young people need positive role models. Bullying and prejudice in our public life sets a national tone, provides permission for cruelty and bigotry, and compromises the moral education of children. The only way to pass along civic values is to first live up to them.
Damn, talking about how bullying is cruel and leads to bigotry. Same themes as McCain. Remember Corker came out and started speaking out against Donald Trump. I think there is a movement afoot here. And now understand Bush is out of office. McCain is not gonna run for re-election, neither is Corker. These are the guys who have been liberated to say things that are true and are not tied to the Republican base as much anymore, and not tied to the donors as much anymore. The donors still looking forward to those giant tax cuts that Trump is promising, but there are apparently some sane voices in the Republican Party saying we have to act and perhaps act in unison. That I think is the most interesting part. But one more great clip from Bush. Who would have thought I would have said that sentence on the Young Turks? But anyway, here, watch.
Our identity as a nation, unlike many other nations, is not determined by geography or ethnicity, by soil or blood. Being an American involves the embrace of high ideals and civic responsibility. This means that people of every race, religion, ethnicity can be fully and equally American. It means that bigotry or white supremacy in any form is blasphemy against the American creed.
Blasphemy against the American creed. God bless you, George W. Bush. Wow, the world is so insane right now that Bush is the voice of reason. Bush used to be the crazy right wing. Now he's trying to calm the country down and saying, wait, turns out it gets way crazier. And we cannot allow and encourage this kind of white supremacy. We cannot give it room. It is blasphemy against the American creed. I read the whole John McCain speech from a couple of days ago. These are very similar themes. America is not about blood and soil, it's about an idea. Look, I mean, they sound like me. I'm sure that they don't know that, don't get me wrong. But I love the American idea. I think that's what we need to defend. And for these Republicans to turn around and say that the guy in charge now, and George Bush did not come out to give a random speech about bigotry and white supremacy and how bad it is for America and nationalism and nativism out of the thin blue air. He didn't do it as a broadside against a random congressman. No, he is clearly, as John McCain was, talking about Donald Trump. So I wonder if there is something we don't know within Republican circles, because that's three strikes. That is three different people all singing the same tune, and it is possible that Republican leaders have looked around and said, this guy is totally unstable. And we can't say that publicly because our base will rip us apart, but we got to go find leaders in our party who can say it publicly. So here comes Corker, here comes McCain, here comes George W. Bush, and I don't think we've seen the last of it. What little conscience the Republican Party has might be acting out here. And of course, don't expect the courage of Republicans who are up for re-election to actually show up. If that does, that means Trump is already done. They're not going to say anything publicly unless they've already decided that they're done with him, and that would be a huge moment. But at least for them to send out these elders of the party and people not going to face the voters or the donors anymore, and to say that Trump is heading us towards bigotry, white supremacy, nativism, and that we should not go down that road, we should protect the idea of America. That is a giant turning point. And yes, for that I will give old adversaries, John McCain, even Bob Corker, and even George W. Bush a world of credit. Watch the Young Turks commercial free, download it or stream it, watch it any way you like at tytnetwork.com/join.